Welcome back to this special on the domestic workers. What we remember are the instances of crime and violence. What we don't is the millions of other dependable workers in our house, cooking, cleaning, raising our children, without allowing a shadow of their personal lives on us. It's an exceptional urban Indian chemistry, one that is unique to each home. It takes the shape you give it.
Our story begins when Shanti Dhan came to the Pratik household 2 months ago. The couple, urban professionals with a young son. They needed somebody to manage the housework. A decision hesitantly arrived at about sharing their space with an outsider.
Initially I was reluctant. She brought up this idea. I said no, we cannot just depend on a maid, and we have a small kid, and these days we are hearing so many incidents.
Soon, Shanti got a hang of the housework. But it was as Akshat grew closer to her that the ice started to thaw. Shanti has become a vital support system for the Pratiks. From cooking, cleaning, babysitting, she does it all for 3,000 rupees, a salary she sends back home.
यहाँ पे काम करना कैसा लगता है?
अच्छा लगता है, कभी-कभी याद आता है गाँव का.
After a couple of months, I am realizing that it's okay. I'm trying to adjust, and I have adjusted well.
Shanti is allowed to socialize with those friends she has made in the area. But she likes watching TV best, mostly in the afternoons. Still, there are invisible limits in her interaction with the Pratiks. She might be taken for outings, but seldom allowed to sit in the same room. So Akshat might be fond of Shanti, but he is never left alone with her for long. They call it a safe distance.
She has to understand a child, because child becomes irritating at times. He becomes very demanding. You have to go down to his level and understand him and play with him. That a lot of mates cannot do.
Their story, a story of 1 million urban households in India, of people working as live-in domestic helps in the city and slowly becoming an inseparable member of the urban Indian nuclear family. Westerners who come to India often wonder what role they possibly play in our lives. Like Ruth Malik, who first came to India from Australia 12 years ago. At that time, she did not know what a house help really meant.
It's very enticing because, you know, all the work's going to get done which you don't have any help with abroad, but it's, I guess, irritating having somebody in your space, and you need to get used to that. And then it takes time to kind of establish boundaries. They're in your personal space and they're taking care of your children, and it's like a friendship and a kindness, but you're also the boss as well. And it's hard to figure out that relationship, I think, initially.
But once Sarita came into Ruth's life, the dilemmas begin to find their own solutions. Sarita doesn't live in the house, but gives enough time for Ruth to finish her work. She has learned to use all the fancy gadgets, does the housework, takes care of the children, and is a key presence. 6 years have gone by, and now Sarita and Ruth can be seen talking to each other in English.
घोड़ा दीदी भी, उनको तभी इतनी हिंदी नहीं आती थी और मुझे ज़्यादा इतनी इंग्लिश नहीं आती थी. अभी मैं भी इंग्लिश सीख गई, वो भी हिंदी सीख गई है.
कैसा लगता है बच्चों के साथ अभी घुल मिल गए हो?
हाँ, अपने मम्मी, जब मम्मी बाहर रही जाएगी तो मेरे साथ रहते हैं. ऐसा मम्मी चाहिए ऐसा कुछ नहीं.
In urban spaces like Mumbai, space is a constraint. Privacy is an issue. There are always invisible boundaries between a family and the house help. But what is common to both is an overwhelming need, one for a job and the other for support in the house. And it is this urgent need that becomes the great leveler.
The families we met had figured out their adjustments. There are many others where it's a regular battle.
मशीन आलेलं आहे कपड्याची आणि मी फक्त 4 झाडू पोता करते आणि भांडी करते आणि बाथरूम धुते. आम्ही हात नाही लावत कारण एकुदा बिघडले तर आम्ही काय करू शकणार आहे.
लेकिन दूसरों का काम करने में जो सुख मिलता है वो आप नहीं जानती.
A social and economic chasm, difficult to conceal. There is very little authentic documentation of this great urban chemistry.
कोई मोल नहीं. माँ जी,
In popular imagination, the domestic help is always described in extremes. The selfless provider, sometimes very oppressed, and yet one who never asks for anything in return. But the reality is very different. It's an interdependence that best gets explained as you live through it. In Mumbai, Prerna Thakurdesai for NDTV.
That's all on this special on domestic helps. Do write in to us what you think about the show. Email us at feedback@ndtv.com or SMS us at 56388. From all of us here, goodbye.